All right, we will call the meeting to order. Jen, would you take roll, please?
Commissioner Corbin.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Waldner. Commissioner Thel.
Here.
Mayor Lindsay.
Here. You have before you the agenda for this evening.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no appearances or acknowledgements, is there anything you want removed from the consent calendar?
Motion to approve consent calendar. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under old business, an update on the Armory Tuck Point and roof repair projects. Chad or Jen, did you want to address that?
I can take
Let you start.
part, and then mine will probably be shorter, but then we can kind of work together if that's all right.
Go for it.
Basically, Jen and I had talked about this. Quick update on the work that's been accomplished. We had hired Kroger Masonry to replace some brick, tuck point some of the mortar that was in need, and then place a sealer on the outside of the North Armory. That has been accomplished back in late October, early November, and we have a few extra brick that we have from that project that we have put in storage. The invoice for that was about $35,680. I believe the commission approved up to $40,000 for contingencies and such like that. There was a small portion where we had sought some of the advice from Banner on appropriate coatings and such that was approved by you previously as well. I don't have that number as well, but that was, do you
I
remember?
have a total of 37,000.
37, so that was 1,400 or something like that. Both, of course, under the 40,000. And then there was some roof repairs that we brought to you, worked with Bob Maxwell to identify some loose sheeting, or roof rubber, I should say, on a vertical face of the wall. That was originally estimated to be about 3,500 or so, and that the work was much less, and it came in to be about 1,500. And so I think, so that's what the total was for that. The commission approved about 4,000 for that, for contingencies, and so it came in much less than that. So I just briefly wanted to bring that to your attention. Most of you already knew that from various reports I've already provided to you, but I think this is joined with some reporting and information that Jen wanted to share as well.
Just felt the need to give you an update on the projects we've already discussed as we look into new business and potentially asking for some additional Armory reserve money to fix the boiler. Okay? So currently in the designated reserve, the Armory designated reserve, which you have as part of your listing this evening, that Armory reserve does have $65,950 in it. As Chad said, the total tuck pointing project, the banner, and then also the banner, and along with Heineman, that total project there, you had authorized up to $40,000 of reserve money. That totaled a little over 37. We'll be making that transfer this month. Also, we authorized up to $4,000 to fix the roof, and that came in substantially under budget at about $1,560. That bill has been paid. We'll also be making that reserve transfer. Also, in 2017 budget process, we agreed to put an additional $20,000 into that reserve. So come January 1st, 2017, we should have a balance of over $47,000 in the Armory reserve. Okay? That being said, you have, as part of your packet, an estimate that we have received for replacement of boiler tubes. This is a project we knew was going to have to happen. We just thought we had a little more time, quite honestly, and Bob Maxwell and I had talked about this and tentatively budgeted for it in about 2018. Okay, we've got a few of these leaky tubes right now. We did have this Midwest boiler come down and take a look, get an estimate. We did also talk about fixing half of them, because of the expense, fixing half. But you'll see his quote for fixing half of them is $6,000 as opposed to fixing all of them for a little over $10,000. So, Chad and I visited too about upcoming Armory projects, things that we know about, additional tuck pointing. He had felt that the worst side of the building has been done. potentially won't need a substantial of a project next year as we need it this year, and I guess we're both comfortable asking for an additional up to $11,000 out of the Armory Reserve to go ahead and please fix these boiler tubes.
Okay. And that's under the new business number 1.
It is.
Mhm. So, questions or comments?
So you think that's no other real major things? I mean, other parts of the boiler seem to be okay and,
Seem to be, it does undergo an inspection, it's a required
Yeah.
process, it's inspected, it was just inspected last year, past inspection as of last year. Anticipated, no, nothing anticipated.
well, we gotta take care of our buildings.
We do.
Yeah.
And that one gets used a lot.
The infamous Mayor Lindsay's words, if you don't take care of them, Mother Nature will.
Yeah, Mother Nature will reclaim it. That's right.
Before we move on, was there any more brick falling off the top on the west side? Wasn't there some brick at one time falling off? Just
Very
above the
parapets at the
doors?
top.
Yeah, there was a few there.
Did he address that in this here?
You know, I don't know if he got any of those. None of them
Okay.
were, we got the loose ones immediately.
Right.
Obviously loose ones. We can look at that again and see what freeze thaw does next year. But I think any imminent ones were, we took off of there. But we'll look at it again in the spring and, that's a little bit of an odd item to repair, because it broke out a part of the block or the limestone really. And so it just broke off a chunk of it. And so and they're little pieces, hard to repair unless you get some sort of adhesive and such like that, but, he was gonna look at it, but I don't know if he got it with this. Any ones that were hazards, we did take care of though. But, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Shannon, the original 37,000 you mentioned,
Mhm.
included the work from Banner.
Couple invoices from Banner for the work that we had allowed Banner to do,
Yep.
and then also Heineman,
Okay.
the gentleman who did the north side there.
Okay, thank you.
And I should clarify, I meant to say that, we made the contract with Kroger.
But Heinemann
He
and Kroger
retired,
is the
he
same.
retired and handed his work over to Heineman. He recommended him, and we did some checking with some references there. But Heineman agreed to do it for the same proposal, and indeed, he signed the same proposal that Kroger had. I consulted with David to see what would be an appropriate way to transfer that, so to speak, and he thought that would be suitable, and so that's how the work was accomplished.
Other questions or comments?
Not, I'll make a motion that we authorize the use of the Armory Reserve for the boiler repair up to $11,000.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution number 2016-23, dedicate city-owned property as public right-of-way. And I'm going to ask Chad to explain that because I had it explained to me earlier today.
Yes, thank you. And what this is there's property that's already owned by the city. There's two separate deeds for these locations. One is for Lee Avenue immediately north of 8th Street, and the other one's for Summit Avenue immediately north of 6th Street Northeast. And so we have deeds, one dating back pre-1900, where it was dedicated, or excuse me, it was transferred to the city via deed, but it wasn't dedicated to the public right-of-way. So we owned it, but it wasn't, again, dedicated to public right-of-way. There is a distinction. I can't articulate it perfectly as well as maybe David could as an attorney and such, but there's a difference between just owning property, having it be private property owned by the city versus it being a dedicated right-of-way. One of which that comes off the top of my mind is, say, our franchise agreements with VAST and so on. If it's dedicated to the right-of-way, by virtue of our franchise agreements, they can install their lines in there. If it's privately owned and not dedicated to the right-of-way, then it's just a private property. They need to get an easement from us as if they would have to get an easement from any other landowner. So that's maybe one of the best distinctions that I would say. But regardless, it's a housekeeping item. It's just cleaning up some of these areas where there's indeed already a street in place. It looks and acts like a street now, it looks and acts like a right-of-way, but technically it's not. We're doing some research for our upcoming sidewalk assessment projects, and some of these are adjacent to there, so it behooves us, I would say, to get this housekeeping thing taken care of so that it's very clear that this is indeed public right-of-way. It's not just a private lot owned by the city. We've done this in the past for a few properties on, along Northeast Second Street, well, actually North Second Street, east and west. For the state project, when they came through, it became apparent that there was some old lingering ones there as well. And also on Southwest First Street, we've passed basically an identical resolution to this back then. So long and short, that's what it is, and I'd be happy to try to answer any questions if there are any.
Questions or comments?
No.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution number 2016-23, dedicate city-owned property as public right-of-way.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Authorize the mayor to sign the 2017 grant pre-application checklist with the FAA, the AIP 346-2914-2017 wetland mitigation and design for the south phase of the parallel taxiway and the MITL system. And again, I'll ask Chad to address this one.
Thank you. What this is it's what you've come to expect annually. The FAA and the state require us to approve this, and indeed is just it's not a grant application, but it's a pre-application. It formally notifies them, so to speak, of what we're intending to do in this case 2017, and ultimately fill out a grant application, and then hopefully subsequently a grant agreement. The projects identified here in the agenda cover and in the literature included in the packet are the items that are planned for 2017. They have been planned in the last couple versions of the CIP that you've seen and that have been reviewed by the airport board. The airport board did review the pertinent components of this pre-application, which is the table, the cost table in summary of project costs here, which includes the purchase of the wetland credits, the phase 2. You may recall that we accomplished phase 1 already this year, and then beginning the design for the parallel taxiway, at least the phased portion of it. In essence, that's what it is. It's not committing to anything. It's just giving them a notification that that's what we're intending to do in 2017.
Questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the grant pre-application checklist for the FAA AIP 3-46-029-014-2017 wetland mitigation design for the south phase of the parallel taxiway and the MITL system.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seeing no announcements and that, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, we are in executive session.